Do you want to know something that most people in the personal finance world will never tell you? If you're within 5 years of retirement, maxing out your 401k might actually be the wrong move. That's crazy, right? Every HR packet you have ever read, every financial tip on the internet, and probably every well-meaning coworker has told you the same thing. Max your 401k, get the match, and repeat until retirement. And look, for most of your career, that's the right advice. But once you're within 5 years of retirement, the game changes. If all you've ever done for the past 30 years is pile money into your 401k, you've done a great job, but you've quietly created a tax problem that you will be juggling all throughout retirement. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly why that is, what to do instead, and how to maximize your final 5 years of savings to give yourself more flexibility, more tax control, and a better retirement. I'm PJ Gibbs with Trella Wealth, and this is the kind of transition decade planning that most people never get to hear about. Let us start with the core issue. When you spend 30 years diligently putting money into a traditional 401k and nowhere else, you are building what I call a single bucket retirement. So none of that money has ever been taxed. That sounds like a win right now, but here's what that actually means for your retirement. Every single dollar you pull out gets taxed as ordinary income, just like your paycheck. Your Social Security income gets taxed. Your pension, if you have one, gets taxed. And then at age 73, the IRS steps in with something called required minimum distributions, an RMD. This is when the government says, hey, you put off paying your taxes on this long enough. We want our money. So the government forces you to withdraw a specific amount from your traditional 401k every single year, whether you need that money or not. And that withdrawal is fully taxable, and it stacks on top of everything else you are already pulling out. What's that look like in real life? Let's say someone retires at 65 with $1.2 million sitting entirely in a traditional 401k. By the time they hit 73, with 8 years of growth, that account might be worth $1.6 million or more. The IRS life expectancy factor at 73 is 26.5. So the first RMD alone comes out to roughly $60,000, added on top of Social Security, added on top of any other income. That can push a retiree from a 22% bracket straight into the 24 or even the 32% without them spending a single extra dollar. And it doesn't stop there. Higher income in retirement can also trigger IRMA. That is the income-related monthly adjustment amount, which means your Medicare Part B and Part D premiums will be higher. In 2026, married couples with income above $242,000 can see Medicare surcharges climbing towards hundreds of dollars per month per person. The tax problem does not announce itself. It just quietly erodes the retirement you've saved 30 years to build. But I'm not telling you to stop saving. The fix is to stop shoveling money into an already full bucket. Here's the shift in thinking that changes everything for you. When you started working 30 years ago, the traditional 401k was probably the best tool you had. As your income grows and you move into higher tax brackets, you get a big deduction today, and that money grows for decades. The math can heavily favor pre-tax contributions for high income earners. But when you're within 5 years of retiring, you need to understand what your taxes are going to be throughout retirement, not just this year. You are probably at or near your peak income. Your traditional 401k is already large. Adding more to it just creates a bigger RMD problem later. What you actually need now is to diversify your tax buckets. And that means shifting your focus to two places: Roth accounts and taxable brokerage accounts. A Roth IRA or Roth 401k can flip the tax equation. You contribute after-tax dollars today, the money grows tax-free, and qualified withdrawals in retirement are completely tax-free. Better still, Roth IRAs have no RMDs, which means you are not forced to take money out at 73 if you don't need it. That gives you enormous flexibility to manage your taxable income in retirement. For 2026, the Roth IRA contribution limit is $7,500 if you're under 50 and $8,600 if you're 50 or older, with income phase-outs starting at $242,000 for married couples filing jointly. So if your income is too high for a direct Roth IRA contribution, a Roth 401k, which anyone can do, no matter their income, is a powerful alternative. In 2026, you can contribute up to $24,500 to a 401k with a catch-up of $8,000 for those 50 and older. And that can go entirely into the Roth side of your plan as long as your employer offers it. The second bucket is a taxable brokerage account. This one does not get nearly enough attention. And for people retiring before they hit full Social Security age, it may be the most important account in the plan. More on that in a moment. If you're still getting your full employer 401k match, make sure you capture it. Every dollar of an employer match is 100% return on day one, and you never want to give that up. But beyond the match, in your final 5 years, redirecting contributions towards Roth and brokerage instead of piling more into traditional pre-tax savings can dramatically reduce your lifetime tax bill. Now, one important thing to point out, if you have already built meaningful balances across all three buckets, pre-tax, Roth, and taxable, then you may already be in good shape from a tax diversification standpoint. In that case, continuing pre-tax contributions can still make sense, especially if you're currently in the higher tax brackets. The key is pairing that strategy with intentional Roth conversions during your gap years and early retirement, which we'll go over next. Tax diversification is the goal. How you get there depends where you're starting from. Now, here's something that you may have never really heard talked about, and it might be the most valuable idea in this entire video. Your first few years in retirement, before Social Security kicks in, before RMDs start, are most likely some of your lowest income years of your adult life. And low income means low taxes. This window is not a problem to manage. It's an opportunity to maximize. Us financial planning nerds call this the gap years, the rough stretch from when you stop working to when you hit age 73 and RMDs kick in. For many people, that is a span of 10 or more years. During that window, your taxable income can drop dramatically. There's no salary coming in, Social Security hasn't started, you're not forced to take any withdrawals from your 401k yet. If you have built a brokerage account to live on in the meantime, your income can be low enough to land in the 12% bracket, or sometimes even lower. That is the sweet spot for Roth conversions. A Roth conversion is exactly what it sounds like. You take money out of your traditional 401k or IRA, pay income tax on it now at today's rate, and move it into a Roth account where it grows, tax-free from that point forward. The reason this works so well in early retirement years is the timing. You're converting at a low rate today before your taxable income climbs back up when RMDs force distributions at 73. You're essentially prepaying taxes you'll eventually owe at a discount today. Here's an example of how this works. Imagine someone who retires at 62 with $900,000 in a traditional 401k and $400,000 in a taxable brokerage account. They plan to delay Social Security until 67. For those 5 years, they live primarily off the brokerage account. Their annual income is low, maybe $40,000 to $50,000 in long-term capital gains and dividends. That keeps them squarely in the 12% federal bracket. Each year, they can convert an additional $30,000 to $40,000 from the 401k to a Roth, filling up that bucket without going over. By the time they reach 67 and Social Security begins, they have moved a meaningful chunk of the pre-tax balance into a tax-free Roth account. By 73, their RMD obligation is significantly reduced. Their taxable income in retirement is lower. Their Medicare premiums stay manageable. The tax savings get to compound over a decade or more. This is why the brokerage account is not just a bridge to cover living expenses in early retirement. It is what makes the Roth conversion strategy possible at all. Without a taxable account to live on, you'd be forced to pull from the 401k for income, which eliminates the low income window you need to convert at a favorable rate. The two strategies work together. Build the bridge, then use the quiet years it creates to systematically shift money into tax-free territory. But the planning window is time limited. Once Social Security starts layering in, once RMDs begin at 73, your income goes back up and the Roth conversion math gets less favorable. The early retirement years are the one time in your financial life when income is genuinely low and you have the most flexibility to act. But you can only take advantage of it if you plan for it 5 years earlier, while you were still working. That is exactly why the decisions you make in the final 5 years before retirement matter so much. Building the right account structure now, Roth, brokerage, and traditional, gives you the fuel to execute this strategy. Without it, the window opens and closes without you ever being able to use it. So how do you actually put this together? Here's a simple sequence to think about. But remember, this isn't intended to be personal advice. You need to fully understand your own unique situation, goals, and risk tolerance, and seek professional guidance if necessary. Year 5 before retirement, this is your planning year. Continue capturing your full employer 401k match. Start shifting any contributions beyond the match into your Roth 401k if your plan offers it. If not, begin funding a Roth IRA up to the annual limit. Open a taxable brokerage account if you don't already have one and start directing additional savings there. Run a projection of your expected 401k balance at retirement so you can see your future RMD obligation clearly. Years 4 and 3, now you're building momentum. Keep the match, keep funding the Roth, and accelerate the brokerage. The goal here is to grow your tax-free and flexible buckets while your 401k holds steady. This is also a good time to start modeling those Roth conversions. Not necessarily doing them yet, but understanding how much room you have in each tax bracket to convert in the early years of retirement. Years 2 and 1, you are in the final stretch. Your focus now shifts to income planning. Map out your expected income sources in year 1 of retirement. Identify your gap, the difference between what is coming in guaranteed and what you need to spend. The gap is what your brokerage account and later your Roth will fill. Make sure you have enough liquid, accessible money to cover at least 2 to 3 years of expenses in retirement without having to touch those tax-deferred accounts. This is not a one-size-fits-all sequence. Everyone's situation is different, but the core idea holds. The closer you are to retirement, the more you may need to prioritize tax diversification and liquidity over raw pre-tax accumulation. Look, the years between 55 and 65 are the transition decade, the window where the decisions you make have an outsized impact on the next 30 years of your financial life. During your accumulation years, almost every good decision pointed the same direction. Save more, invest more, and defer more taxes. But in the transition decade, the decisions get more nuanced. It is no longer just about how much you have saved. It's about where it is saved, how it will be taxed, and whether you can actually access it when you need it. It's building the foundation for the retirement you want to live. But most people never revisit their savings strategy in this window. They just keep doing what they've always done because it felt right, and no one told them otherwise. The goal of this video was to give you a different lens, one that accounts for the decade ahead, not just the decades behind you. Understanding the tax bucket problem, the role of Roth accounts, the value of a tax bridge, and the importance of sequencing your savings are the building blocks of a retirement plan that actually holds up. That knowledge belongs to you regardless of what you do next. If this video gave you a different way of looking at your retirement savings strategy, that's the goal. This kind of thinking belongs to everyone, not just people who work with a financial planner. The more you clearly understand how these pieces fit together, the better prepared you will be to make decisions that actually serve you in retirement.